Hey, welcome to this video. Today I'll show you how to create your own repacks for AzerothCore, and I'll make sure to make it as beginner friendly as possible. So let's just get started. So first off, we want to create our repacks folder where we want to have the server and the database stuff. So MySQL and everything. So first off, right click, new, and folder, and call it my Repack. This doesn't matter, it's just a name for the folder, so we know what it is. Open it. In here, we want to first start off with creating a new folder, call it MySQL, and then go inside it. Sorry, open it. In here, we want to put our own MySQL portable client, or portable binary as it's called normally. So the important thing here is that we need to make sure that we are using the same MySQL version as we compiled the server with. And to figure out which version you used for your own PC and creating the server, like compiling the server and everything, we will hit the Windows button, Windows key, sorry, type CMD, so command prompt, hit enter. You should now see this window. Here you write MySQL space, two of these, the lines, and type version without a space. Hit enter. You can now see MySQL version ver 8.0.39. That's the version I have, and for me I need to download the version, the portable version of MySQL with this version. For you it might say 8.2.30 maybe, but then you'd need to download that version. So now we know this is my version I need to download. I'll close this and I will head to the website called MySQL, or MySQL's website. So downloads.mysql.com/archives/community. Don't worry, I will leave a link below in the description to download. So here and under the product version, you select here, you can see the drop down with all the versions. You find the one you had, so that's 8.0.39 for me. Again, this is my version, might not be the same for you. Click on it, and then you need to select the one that's for Windows and not the MSI installer, the zip archive. That's very important. So click download, and now you will see it's downloading. Open up your WinRAR file, and you can see the folder here. Double click it. All of this is everything for the MySQL database program. So to make sure we have everything, you can highlight everything and drag into your MySQL folder we just created. This will take a few seconds and it's done. This might depend on how fast your drives are, but normally it's pretty fast. Now we got our MySQL. Great. That's the first step. Next step is to go back into your, so let's go back here. So our Repack folder, double click it. Now create a new folder, call this database. And in here, we want our database SQL files. So you might be thinking, how do you get those? And to do this, we need to open up either a PHP admin, myadmin, or HeidiSQL. I use HeidiSQL because it's much easier to use personally, and I'm just a fan of it. So I will be using this. If you use anything else, then I can't guarantee that this guide is as easy as if you use HeidiSQL. But I will leave a link to HeidiSQL down below in the description. So click to open. And for me, when I set up my server, I chose the username to be root and I chose the password to be root. This is not for everyone, like it's not root for everyone. Some have root in the username only and the password is blank. It all depends on how you set up your database when you set up, when you compiled and installed MySQL on your PC. So hit open. And now you can see I'm inside my database for my own server. So everything in here, don't mind this. This is something I was playing around with. So everything inside here is what is create. All these tables are created the first time you started your compiled server. What we are doing right now is, let's say you change something. Let's say you create an account, for example. So let's just double click my accounts table, and let's see the data. So here you can see I have my own account called Cillian, and I have all this data about my account and when I created it and stuff like that. Even have the realm list, so what the name of the realm is. This is just for like the accounts. Off is for accounts. But if you created something like a character, or even when you need to create like a repack, it's normally because you made custom content. So custom content, if you change anything inside of, let's say something like, maybe you changed the creature's health, or you changed some data inside the database, you would need to take this table or this database, sorry, and export it so you can pack it down into your own repacks and distribute the repack. That way you give the players all the data and the custom content you created. Okay, let's start with exporting each one. So right click export as, export database as SQL. Make sure this one is only ticked. Then tick off create, sorry. And this is important. Tick on both of the drop. Create will then be ticked on again, but it's just to make sure everything is correct, because it can be tricky sometimes. Next thing you will see, this would normally say no data for you probably. So you click on the drop down and you say insert. One thing about this is that if you are updating the users, like if you are updating the database after you already distributed your repack, you might need to change some stuff in here. So insert, ignore, do not update existing, or delete and insert everything from the bottom up. So it's a bit confusing, but for now we are just going to focus on just inserting everything. So we click insert, and make sure everything is ticked on and looks like mine here. So add comments and remove definer clauses. Make sure those are ticked on. Now make sure as in output set it as single.sql file, and here in the file name click on the folder button and you will open up your save as window. Now navigate to where your file or you want to save these files. Right now it doesn't matter, but make sure to save them somewhere. So for me that's G, YouTube tutorials, creating your own Repack, and I will just put mine as exported SQL files and double click. And now give it a name. I highly recommend you to put the name down here because we are exporting the AzerothCore of database right now. I highly recommend you to write the name of the database here so you know what database that file is. So for now, just say AzerothCore of because it's the authentication of file, and hit save. And now you can see it changed the the export path, and hit export. This is pretty fast. That's the good thing about it. So now after it says SQL export finished, that's great. We have now already exported this one. So tick it off and go down and tick on AzerothCore characters. And here we go under everything will be the same. If it's not, change it back to the same thing as before. Here we go into the folder again, and you can see it's already under here, and we already have our authentication table laying here. So since this is the characters table or database, sorry, we write AzerothCore _ characters and hit save. And now we export again. This is also pretty fast. And let's then take off AzerothCore, and we do the same for AzerothCore World. AzerothCore World might take a little longer, but everything should be the same here. And you remember to click the folder button, AzerothCore World as before, and save. And then now click export. And you will see down here it tells you when it's done. Well, while we wait here, if you enjoyed this video and find it helpful, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and even comment down below if you have any suggestions for anything with scripting or development of AzerothCore servers. See you in a bit when it's done. And we are finally done. So now just hit close here, and you can actually close down HeidiSQL now because we are done. We have exported all the tables and databases. So everything has been exported. So now we can basically close down HeidiSQL, and just this will probably not be for you, pop up for you. So just say no if it does. And now we have all our SQL or database files here, SQL files. These basically contain everything about the exported database. So it's important to remember if you pack down export your databases, remember to remove any characters or even accounts if you don't want those to be sent with the server or the repack, sorry. Just a heads up for that, but normally it doesn't matter, to be honest. But yeah, let's continue. So now we go into our MySQL data pack, or my repack, your repacks folder, and inside the database we want our SQL files we just exported. So let's go back, go into exported SQL files or the folder you exported to, mark everything or select everything and hit Control X. You can see the icon should be, the opacity should change a bit. Go one back, go into my repack and database and click Control V here. And now you copy pasted your database files. Great. Now we have pretty much most of the database setup done, which is amazing. But we still need a few more things. So let's do the next thing. So we need to run, we need to first go in your MySQL folder, then go into bin. In here, right click, hit new and create new text document. Just open it for now. In here, we want to, I will make sure to link it down below so you know what to write here. But for now, I'll just write it out so you know and can see what I'm writing on. So let's say MySQL D. MySQL D is basically the database, so MySQL database. It's the exe running the whole database. And we want to make sure our database is running on port 3306. And the socket would be equals to mysql.socket. Yes. And this, all of this I'm writing right now is like the stock settings. So you don't need to change anything of this depending on where your repack is. So just go down the description and download or copy the code here and copy it into your MySQL bin location. And we say base the directory equals comma up, this, and data the directory the dir, and we say this and data. Last two things is skip external login and skip name resolve. And now we are pretty much done with this file. So go up on the file and say save as. And here this is important, so remember to call it exactly the same. First off, make sure to save as type, say all files, hit here. And again, this is important, my.ini. INI is the settings file which is normally used for everything from config files to settings and stuff. So it's important that it's exactly this. So hit save, and now you see our new folder, or sorry, our new file is right here. Now we can now we can remove the new text document because we don't need it anymore, since we have our my.ini file. Great. We are now done with that. Let's now do one of the more, I would say, intermediate things. So first off, hit your Windows key, type cmd for the command prompt, but remember to run it as admin, otherwise this step, you can't do this step. Hit run as admin. It should say the directory you have your Windows on, then Windows and System32. This is important because otherwise you can't run the next step. So now, normally if you are on C, you can write cd and then basically just copy your path and put it in and hit enter. Then it should show here the path and then this icon, and then you know you're inside that folder. But because I'm on another drive, I actually need to do this first. So depending on the drive name, if you're on C, you don't need to do that. Do this, just a heads up. So you can write G because my drive is G, and this, and the colon. Hit enter. Now you see I'm inside my C drive. Oh, sorry, G drive. Now I can say cd and go over here and copy. And remember, it needs to be inside MySQL/bin. And paste. Now hit enter. Now you see I'm inside. I'm basically in the command prompt. I'm inside of this folder now. Next up, we need to run MySQL for MySQL Initialize Insecure. This basically makes the database, like it initializes everything for the database to make it run and be able to run. So let's start off with writing that. So write my, and again, I will keep everything in the description below. Write MySQL D, MySQL database, space, and two of these again. Sorry, I can't remember the name of them. Initialize, and one of these again. Insecure. Yeah, I think I spelled that correct. And hit enter. Don't worry about this if it doesn't write anything yet. That's totally normal. Just give it some time. It's basically initializing everything for the database right now, and it will go under the next on a new line when it's done. And it's already done. So now we can actually close this command prompt again and go back to MySQL, and you'll see your folder data has been created. And just to show you what's inside, this is basically your whole database. All of these files are your database. That was what the function, or sorry, the command we just ran, basically created the whole folder data and the database. So let's continue. So go back to MySQL and go back to my Repack, or your Repack's name. In here, we want to create two new files. You can again, everything will be down in the description. So let's right click and new and text document. You don't need to name this because as we did with the my.ini, we will remove this after we make the two bat files we are going to create. So open the file up and let's write. So the first bat file we need to create is for MySQL to run the server, or sorry, the database. So it's run in MySQL database. So let's start. So echo auth and cd, and again cd means that from here we need to jump into MySQL data or MySQL and then into bin. This is important because in here is the file it wants to run, which is MySQL D. So let's do that. So we know our folder is MySQL, so MySQL, and then this slash, sorry, I keep forgetting what it's called, slash, then bin. And now we are basically inside this folder again. Next line is MySQL D. So MySQL D space with these again, console, and that's basically everything. So before I save this and we move on to the next thing, I want to explain what it's doing. So first we run this program in a command prompt will pop up like when you start up the server normally. So this command prompt pops up, it goes into this folder, then it looks for the MySQL D, which is down here, and it basically runs this file. And just so you know, you can't just double click on it and run it, so you need to use a bin file, a bat file to start it, and we run it with the arguments of console. So now that we have done this, let's go back to our Repack root folder, hit file and save as. Here call it like, again, it doesn't matter what you call this file. This is just so we know what it does. So start underscore MySQL dot that. And again, before hitting save, remember to change save as type to all files. And click save. You now see we have our own batch file here. Great. Let's create the next file. So we can just use the same file. Oh, sorry, don't use the same file. So close it down and just open the notepad again. Remove everything except the echo auth. And now this file we are creating here is to import our own data. So importing everything we exported, we import into the MySQL database inside our Repack. So when we ship this Repack, they will have the same data inside the MySQL. So echo, echo is just explaining in text, like saying importing AzerothCore database. So let's actually just write that. Importing AzerothCore databases. Yes. And now we start with the importing of everything. So we know our MySQL file is inside our MySQL/bin. So we need to write MySQL MySQL/bin/MySQL. Why we are doing this is because when we go in MySQL, then in bin, and we are inside the folder here. Now we want to look for the file and run the file MySQL. MySQL is down here. So we are telling the program to run this and log in as root and create our database if it doesn't exist. So let's just go back here so we don't get confused. Now let's write the rest. /root or root or u for the user, and the user is normally root, or it's always root when we made the MySQL initialization or initialize call in the command prompt. So root e, and this is the SQL code. I think it's called code. Yeah, we are running. So it's create database if not exist, and it's the database's name, and this is important that it's correct. So AzerothCore_auth. And what we need to do is basically create, remember to close it off here. We need to create this 3 times, this line 3 times, so we have a total of 3. Everything should stay the same besides the AzerothCore_characters and AzerothCore_world. It's important that we write these so it creates the database if it doesn't exist already. Next, we can actually copy a few more times, and I will just make some spaces here so it's easier for everyone to see what I'm doing. So we still need to do stuff inside of the MySQL when we are logged in as the root. And what we need to do is actually tell it to create. So, sorry, I'm a little tired right now, but what we are doing here is we are creating the database. That's the first part. So we create AzerothCore. As you saw in HeidiSQL, you saw me, or you saw at the top, it said databases, and it had AzerothCore, AzerothCore characters, and AzerothCore world. And we just created the database here. Now we actually want to run the SQL, so the database we exported, we want to run that SQL inside of our database. It's a bit confusing, but stick with me. I understand that it's confusing. So let's get started here. So first we want to take everything we exported and import it into our AzerothCore auth, and we write database. This is important, just a heads up. Database is this folder. So right now, like we did with the CD, right now it's looking inside this folder, database, and then it's looking for, we want to look for this one. So to do that, we want to say database /AzerothCore underscore auth.sql. We need to do the SQL since it's an SQL file. And that's all we have to do for the AzerothCore auth. Now we need to do the same for the other databases. So let's do that. AzerothCore underscore characters database slash AzerothCore underscore characters dot SQL. And we do the same for the last one. AzerothCore slash world database slash AzerothCore underscore world dot SQL. Now let's just clean it up a bit. So remove the spaces since they can make problems sometimes. And now we just make an echo saying all databases has been imported successfully and false. So as you can see, we create the database if it doesn't exist. We export the AzerothCore auth SQL, AzerothCore characters SQL, and AzerothCore world SQL. After that, it will tell us in the command prompt, it will say all databases have been imported successfully. Imported successfully, yeah. Let's hit save as, and here we call it import databases, and again this .bat, and again this doesn't matter what you call it, it's just so the people downloading or Repack knows what it's for. And remember to save as type or files and hit save. Now you can basically just close this window, the notepad window, and now we can go back to our Repack root. So for me, that's my Repack. Here you can see 2 new files, and we can delete the new text document. We don't need it anymore. So here you can see 2 new files, import databases and start database, or start MySQL, sorry. So let's go ahead and import everything. So double click on it. Oh, sorry, I see I have a problem here. Oh, that's my problem, yeah. Sorry, I totally forgot about that. When you normally have MySQL installed, your server runs, the MySQL server installation runs automatically on your PC, even in the background. So when you need to do this, where we make a repack and it's a standalone version of MySQL, we actually need to stop that MySQL server running on our own PC right now to import everything. So let's do that. Should also note that what you have done right now is basically you are done with creating everything for the database and the MySQL. So if you don't want to run all these things, you don't have to. You can tell your users to run this, but it takes a lot of time, and most users will find this pretty confusing. So if you want to like be a good developer, you would normally run the import databases for them so they don't need to run it first. So let's first fix so I can run this. So what you want to do to close down the MySQL server already installed is go down to a taskbar, right click, task manager, and it will come up here. Let me just, yeah, it's here. So now you can see background processes. Here you can actually just click on one thing, click M, and you can see Microsoft Edge and stuff. If you scroll down, you can see MySQL D. Like when we talked about the MySQL database, you see MySQL D is basically our own version of MySQL that's installed on our PC, already running. So that means when we tried to import our databases, that didn't work because it tried to connect to our already set up database. So let's close this. So just click on it in task and it will close both. So now you can close task manager again and you can click import databases. This will take a long time, like, oh, sorry. Yeah, again, I forgot to start it. My bad. Let's start first MySQL. This basically starts our server. So now it's running on our PC and everything looks good. Now we can open the import databases, and this will take a long time. Like it can take up to 25 minutes. So as soon as it's done, it will tell you that it has, it will basically tell us the message that we wrote inside the code for it. So I'll see you when it's done. And it's finally done. So let's continue. Now you can basically click any key, or you can just click the close button. Let's keep the server up for now on MySQL database. Let's head back into my Repack, so our Repack's root folder. Now, the next thing we need is we actually need, funny enough, our compiled server, since we don't have that yet. So let's actually get that inside our Repack. So I'll navigate to my server. So this is my compiled server. Yours might look different, but it should look nearly the same depending on how much custom data you have. So you can click Control A to mark or select everything. And then you can click Control C because we are just copying the files, not cutting them. So Control C, and you can go back into your Repack root, and you can click Control V to paste them. So this will take a little bit of time, so I will catch you when it's done. And it's done. So let's continue. So the next thing you gotta do is go into your configs file and go into your world server and right click on it and edit with any text editor. I'll choose Notepad++ because I'm used to using that. So play on it. Here you see your whole folder. Click Control F and look for world database and hit enter. It should now jump you down to login database info, world database info, and character database info. Here we need to change something because normally when you set up and compile a server and run it, it will use AzerothCore and AzerothCore as this is the username and password for your server, your MySQL. But since we are not using that, we are using root and nothing for the password. So we will write it like this. And we will need to do this all locations where it says this. This is important because if you try to start it up now, it won't work. So now this file is done. We can close it. And let's go into auth server. Right click again, open with any text editor. And click Control F. Search login database this time. Hit enter. Close this. And you will find here login database info. Change this to root. And remove the password echo. And that's it. You can now close down this window. Close. And that's it, everything for the config files. Now let's hope this works. It will work, don't worry, but let's try to open the authentication server. So this would normally be a login server. Open it. And you already see it says it added the realm. So let's open our world server and give it a few minutes, or sorry, seconds. It's probably pretty fast. Don't mind the red text, that's just from my compiled build of the server. Yes, and it's running. Let's test it. Let's test if I can log in with my normal account. If I can, then it means the server and the database has been copied correctly. So let's try. And oh yeah, that's a little problem I always have. Here, there you go. I am logged in on my normal account. I normally use for my own other MySQL database, but since I extracted or exported, you could call it instead, everything from my database to this copy of the portable MySQL database for my Repack, everything works. And even if I log in, I will still have every single item that I had before in my backpack on my other server, MySQL server, and everything works. So that was everything for today. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped you, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a subscribe, and comment down below if you have any idea for any other videos you would like to see. Hope to see you in the next video.